In fact, sometimes we may feel like our parents have at times in our lives been a little overbearing. There's times in my life where I feel like my parents were kind of overbearing with me. They were much more so with my brothers, but that's because my brothers didn't do what they asked them to do. So I mean, that kind of came with the territory. But one lesson growing up that my parents tried to instill in me, and when I say tried, I don't mean I mean they failed, but I don't discredit them in that, because I got to come to the point where you need to come to the point where you need to take responsibility for your own actions, and I need to come to the point where I need to take responsibility for my actions. And growing up, I was a quitter, and I always quit things really easily. And my parents, they were always trying to get me to finish what I started. And I was never good at it. I never wanted to do it. Like in middle school, like I started to play piano and I quit. And like, well, we want you to play an instrument because we want you to have that skill and it helps, that right side of your brain. So it's like, fine, I'll play drums. I played drums for a year, and then after my parents bought me this $2,000 drum kit, I was like, I quit. Like, Daniel, what the heck? And then I played football, but then I didn't like football because the helmet hurt my head my first year. So I was like, I don't want to play this. So I played soccer, and then I was like, it's too much running. I don't want to play any sports. So like, I just didn't like play sports like my 7th grade year or whatever. And then I was doing wrestling, but then like one year I wrestled for this one school, this mat club, but my parents said in 8th grade, if you want to wrestle, you have to wrestle for a different school. And I was like, oh no, new friends, I don't want to do that. Like, Daniel, you've been wrestling for 4 years. You should just stick with it. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Then I went to high school, and I went to high school freshman, sophomore, junior year. My senior year, I got pretty good grades, and I was a good student, but my brothers were not at all. So my parents pulled them out of public school to put them in online school because it was a punishment to them. Like, you're not going to hang out with your friends because you're not going to take school seriously, so we're going to make you do online school. And then I asked my parents, I was like, hey, can I do online school also? And like, no, Daniel, you're fine. I'm just going to make David and Dakota do it. You don't have to. I'm like, no, can I please? Like, why? I'm like, well, what time do I have to get started what time do I have to get started on online school? She's like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 when you get up. And I was like, done, sign me up. And I quit going to public school, and I quit like doing that and like hanging out with my friends just because I wanted to sleep in. So my whole life, like I like rarely, other than wrestling, done the same sport 2 years in a row. And then I quit high school because I had opportunity to sleep in. I quit sports because I just wanted to go home and play video games. I quit music because I didn't want to practice. I've constantly just been, in my early life, just quitting. I had a habit of starting something and then quitting. And my parents were always like, Daniel, please stick with it. Please, just stick with it. Just finish this out. And the last straw that they kind of had where they realized, listen, we've tried. Daniel, we love Daniel. He's a good kid. But if they kind of learned about me, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. And people who have said that about themselves say it almost as like, oh, like I'm complimenting myself. If I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. It almost sounds like I'm bragging about a personality type, but honestly, that's kind of a personality flaw I've come to realize with myself, is if I do not want to do something, I'm just not going to do it. Even if it's something that can benefit other people around me, even if it's something that other people need my help with or whatever, that's something that like I have to say, I have to use my willpower to choose to do this. But growing up, I always quit things, and my parents were always like, Daniel, please don't quit. And my freshman year, I joined the wrestling team after a year off, and I wanted the varsity spot for the 119-pound weight class. And there was this one guy I couldn't beat, and instead of trying to get better, I quit. And I came home from practice early. My parents were like, Daniel, aren't you supposed to be at wrestling practice? And they got pizza that night, and like I was eating just salad at this time because for wrestling you have to like cut weight. And I started eating the pizza, like, Daniel, you're home early, you're eating pizza, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I quit. And then I just remember they're like especially my dad. Like my dad, he wanted to yell at me, but he knew that wouldn't get anywhere. So he was just like, okay. And at that point, and my parents, I don't mean any discredit to them at all. They did what they could, but they realized that I was just going to quit. And there wasn't much they could do to influence me. And one of my biggest regrets in life, I really don't have a lot of regrets, but one of my biggest regrets in life was I really wish I wrestled in high school. And I really wish I stuck with it. I'll be driving at work, and then I'll just be thinking about matches I had when I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. My 6th grade year, I was undefeated. In my 7th grade year, I won 14 matches in a row. I got the flu, and it knocked me out for like 2 weeks. And so I didn't go to practice for like 2 weeks. And at the end of the year, I came back, and coach was like, "Do you still want to wrestle in this, weight class? Because it's really tough." I'm like, yeah. I got out there. I had 4 matches that day. I just lost all 4 of them. And I was like, this is stupid. And then I remember telling my mom, like I don't want to go to the last wrestling meet, and we didn't. I was a quitter. And of all the things I quit piano, I quit drums, I quit soccer, I quit football. All these things, I quit high school. Of all these things I quit, I really, really wish I stuck with wrestling. I really did. There's not a lot of things in life I was good at, but I had potential to actually be pretty good at that sport. And it's not a big deal, but I say this to say I think about it. I think about I don't know if I would have been really, really good or not. I feel like I could have been, but I also feel like that was a missed opportunity in my life. And I look back, and I can, as I'm older now, I'm 28 years old, I can look back and I can see all the times where my parents were really encouraging me to just stick something out. Even like with soccer, I remember sorry, Emilio, I hate soccer, playing it. I can't stand it. No, don't listen. Here's why. Because my 7th grade year, they made me a midfield. Did you guys know anything about soccer? There's the defender, the goalie, the midfield, and the forward. The forward is the fast person that scores goals a lot. The defender is the person that kicks the ball really hard so they can get the ball to your side of the field. The goalie, you know what a goalie is, he catches the ball. But the midfield, he kind of does a little bit of everything. He's the guy, the 3 guys or 4, however many, I don't even remember. They're the guys that have the most endurance because they're constantly running the most. They have the biggest part of the field that they've got to cover, and because of that, or maybe that's just how 7th grade soccer is, that's all it was. Because of that, I'm like, wow, I have to run all the time. I don't want to do this. And so I remember just having this fit with my mom. I'm in the car, I'm a 7th grader or 6th grader, I don't even know when I played soccer. I was like, yeah, this is stupid, I don't want to play. And I just remember my mom being like, Daniel, you are finishing the season. Okay? You don't ever have to play again, but you are finishing the season. And I was like, fine, whatever. This is stupid. And then she made me go to practice and stuff. And I can see, looking back, all the times my parents were trying to instill in me, Daniel, don't quit. Daniel, don't quit. Daniel, just finish through. Daniel, there are benefits to doing this. Daniel, just stick with it. Daniel, don't give up. Please don't give up. And I'm telling you now, one of my regrets in life is I just really wish I would have stuck with wrestling. I really wish I did. But the whole time, looking back, my parents wanted the same thing for me. They wanted the best for me, but they weren't imposing. They didn't make me do it, which is good. But because of that, and again, I take responsibility. This is no fault to their failure, but I chose to quit. But I can see how they were pushing me away from that every moment of my life that I lived in that house. And I want to let you guys know tonight that God is not an overbearing parent. He's not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. He's not going to force you into a relationship with Him. But if you just choose to be willing and say, God, I'm going to give you a chance, you're going to face a time in your life where you're going to look back and you're going to regret that you never did. Pastor Steve, he got saved when he was 29? 31. He was 31 years old. So that's 3 years from where I am now, that he actually finally met Jesus. And if there's any big regret, I know my pastor has, he knew God was reaching him as an early teenager. He knew God was pulling on his heart when he was on drugs and when he was breaking into people's houses and stealing their stuff, when he was a convicted felon, because the whole time this is going on, he knew God was pulling him. In fact, there was one time, one of his favorite stories during church is he was in a jail cell and he said, God, I know I want to follow you. I can't do it right now. I can't do it. But I know one of his big regrets is the times in his life where God was pulling on his heart if he would just responded to the call sooner. And God's not an overbearing parent. He's not going to make you do something you don't want to do. He's not going to make you lift your hands and worship and say, listen, if you surrender and give it to me, I can take you places and give you things you can't even imagine. He's not going to make you do anything. But if you are just willing to choose to follow God, to serve Him, and to surrender to Him, That is the best possible path you can go down. And I know looking back with me growing up, I just quit everything. Not even, it was stuff I liked too. Playing drums is fun. I liked learning about music on the piano. I can still do scales pretty well. And I love playing sports and hanging out with friends. But because I get tired, or because, I wanted to go to practice 3 days a week, but one of the days a week I just want to go home and play video games. I want the freedom to play video games instead of practice. And stuff like that just made me quit. And I just didn't want to do it. I can see my parents just trying to push me. Daniel, don't give up. Stick with it. And now I have regrets because I didn't follow. I was not willing to follow the plan they had for my life. And they knew what was best for me. And if I was willing to listen and do what they wanted me to do, what they encouraged me to do, rather than what I thought was best, I wouldn't have the regret that I have about being on the wrestling team. I mean, listen, I could have hit my peak my sophomore year and sucked after that, but you know what? At least I know. At least I know. But I always, in fact, sometimes late at night, actually all the time late at night, I get on my phone and I go on YouTube and I'll just watch YouTube videos after YouTube videos. And some YouTube videos I love to watch are just old Olympic wrestling matches. Just between guys I've never heard of. And I love watching them. And they're usually quick 5 to 10 minute videos. And I'll just watch 3 or 4 of them in a row sometimes, just because it's so interesting just seeing two guys going at it and seeing who the better wrestler is and who gets the most points, and seeing all this stuff. I'll watch Greco-Roman style and freestyle and all this stuff. And it's just really interesting to me. And as I'm watching those videos, I just think, man, I wish I would have stuck with that. I wish I would have done that. There's a kid that used to come here a while ago. I won't give you his name, but he's a really good athlete in a particular sport. But he's got kind of issues with authority, and the reason he didn't want to continue the sport he was playing is because he didn't like coaches telling him what to do. He's like, man, I hate when coaches tell me what to do. I want to listen to that. So he wouldn't play organized sports when he was really, really good at basketball. And I was telling him, listen, dude. He's an 8th grader at the time. I was like, this year, plus high school, you've really only got 5 guaranteed years to play this as an organized team sport. Okay? You're going to be 18 before you know it, and you just won't even have that opportunity anymore. And he wasn't hearing any of it. He just didn't care. But the thing with God is he's got things he's speaking to us. He's got things he's telling us. He's got things he wants to download in us. He's got his word says, I'm not giving you a spirit of fear, but love, power, and a sound mind. He says, I am for you. I am not against you. He says things about, what was it? Pride comes before a fall, or haughty spirit, humility. He talks about humility and these ways that we follow God and his principles and stuff. But sometimes we just look at the Bible and we look at the word, we think, no, my way is better, or we just don't want to give God a chance. And we don't want to open up this book, see what it says, and apply it to our life. Not because we hate God or anything like that, but just because we just got better things to do. I mean, I literally quit my last year of high school to hang out with my friends, and I really wish I didn't do that. I really wish I would stay my senior year and not do an online school. I did that because I wanted to sleep in. Come on, guys. Jeez, how lame is that? Okay, I quit sports because I wanted to sleep after school if I had the opportunity. I wanted to play video games. And listen, there's nothing wrong with video games, but when something like that is distracting me from something that became a regret, I don't ever regret playing more or less video games. I really don't. I can totally see how throughout my life my parents were trying to get me to not give up. We've all got personality flaws, we've all got strengths, we've all got weaknesses, and one of my big weaknesses is I quit on things. Or I don't quit on things anymore, but I want to. It takes willpower for me to be like, no, Daniel, you said you're going to do this, follow through. No, Daniel, this is where you're going to be. You need to stick with it. I love teaching the Word. I love the Bible. I love hanging out with you guys, but there's times where it's just I get off work at 4:30, close to 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. I'm like, man, I don't want to go to youth. I just want to stay home and be lazy, And then that's a fight for me. In fact, when I was volunteering at youth ministry at my other church when I was younger and I didn't have as much responsibilities, there'd be times every once in a while I just wouldn't show up. It wasn't because I wasn't doing anything like that night, but people would text me, hey, where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm sick. No, I'm not. I just didn't want to go. But that's kind of a personality flaw of mine, is sometimes I want to quit so so quickly. But I can see my parents just pushing me away from that. There are things that you got in your life that God wants to push away from you, and God wants to uplift you and encourage you and help you, but you need to give him a chance. The Bible says in Isaiah chapter 1, starting verse 18, it says, "Come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they'll be made white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they'll be as wool. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. If you refuse and rebel, you will be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken." Even though he's talking specifically to the nation of Judah, there's truth in here. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. I know that in my own life, if I was willing and obedient with my parents, I would not have the regrets I have, and I would have had a better life in high school. Because my parents, they even tried to talk me out of going to the Morning Star Academy. That's what it was called, the online school I did. Like, "Daniel, you don't have to do this. You can go to school." And I was like, no, I want to. Like, "Daniel, we're just making your brother." Like, they're saying, "Daniel, this is clearly a punishment that you want to be a part of. Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes." "Sleep, please." And I could see that they're like, "Why? Don't do this. Don't give up on this. Don't give up." And I just really wish I would have listened to them. And there are things that God is speaking to us, that God's told us in our life, that if we would just give him a chance, you would eat the good of the land. I think about a youth group, how for the longest time I just went because my parents went to church and there were cute girls, and I would just sit in the back, and I would, I went to a bigger youth group. There was like 50 to 60 kids at one point. I see people up there and they're lifting hands, they're saying, "God, I love you, you're great, you're awesome." And I would just stand in the back with my hands in my pockets. I did this for years. It wasn't because I didn't believe in God. It wasn't because I didn't, think God was a jerk or anything like that. I just didn't care to try and worship. It's like, why would I do this? Don't really want to do that. And there's a lot of people, it's not that they're atheists, it's not that they hate God or anything like that. They just don't want to give him a chance. They're just not interested. Just get consumed with other things in life and things that bring temporary satisfaction. In fact, there's been times in my life where I've helped out with groups that have given food to homeless people, and when you talk to them, they're always like, "Oh, yeah, I love God. Hey, what church you go to? Yeah, I should totally stop by." And I can sense there's genuineness in a lot of them when they're saying this, that they know that they should be in church. They should be around godly things. They should be under the Word. They should be connecting themselves with the things of God. They know they should be, but it's not important enough for them to do it. I just want to tell you guys tonight, before we close, make this important. Make this important. Be willing to turn to Jesus. There's a lot of other things in life we can turn to. Sometimes people turn to friends or worse things like drugs or even promiscuous relationships. Me, I'm the type of person that I just want to close myself off, go into my room, put on a hoodie, and just turn on the TV and just drown out everyone else. If my mom, when I was younger, would be like, "Daniel," I'd be like, "No, leave me alone, wherever, just leave me alone." And I would just go into this place where I was alone, and I just would just listen to music or watch TV or play video games. I didn't want anyone else around me. I just want to turn off everyone. And sometimes, getting some alone time can be healthy, but I know that times in my life where I'm blocking out everything else to do that is really unhealthy and destructive towards me. That's a breeding ground for depression and bad habits and things that are not going to be lasting and healthy. And I know that about myself. I got this guy, this uncle. His name's Uncle Vernie. He's my mom's brother. He met his first wife in Nevada, and he has 3 daughters. They're my older cousins. They're in their 30s, and they all live in Reno, Nevada. And he got a divorce when the girls were 3 and 4. I think that the oldest was 6 and the youngest was 3. He got divorced and then he moved away, and he got another wife in Massachusetts, married her. He's got 3 sons, and they're all in the military. They're all my age now. And later in life, when he tried to contact his daughters, he never could because his ex-wife was crazy and she would chase him off the property with a shotgun. So just to be safe for his life, he would write letters only and not go there, but she would take the letters and she would throw them away, and the little girls never got to see the letters from their dad. And now that they're older and he's reached out to them, one of them from what I know, I don't know all the details. She's reconnected with him and everything, but I know the other two, they just listen to the lies of their mom their whole life. Oh, your dad's a terrible person. He did this. He just left us high and dry. He doesn't care about you. And then the mom has told her, these girls, all these things. And so they believe it. But it's so much to the point that when he tries to reach out to them now, they don't want to give a chance. They don't want to restore that relationship with their father. And they don't want to find out his side of the story. What I'm telling you is they're not willing to give him a chance. And sometimes we do that to God. We get this false perception of what other people have said or what the world and culture has shown us about who Jesus is, our own philosophical mindset. Why do babies die? God must be evil. And then we just create this image of this evil God that we, even if he's real or not real, we don't know, we want nothing to do with, and we don't even give him a chance. Tonight, if you get anything at what I'm saying, is I'm saying give God a chance. Because just like my parents, they weren't overbearing. They weren't going to make me do something I didn't want to do. But looking back, I can see the lesson. They were saying, Daniel, don't quit. Don't give up. Follow through with it. Continue. Just don't give up on it. They didn't make me do it, but looking back, I really wish I would have listened to them. And later on in life, I don't want you guys to look back and be like, man, I really wish I would have listened to Jesus sooner. I really wish I would have followed God sooner. Guys, be willing to listen to what God has to say and be willing to give this Jesus thing a shot. If at all during this sermon you feel like you want to have a deeper relationship with God, you want to know what it means to be a Christian, know who Jesus is, click the link in the description below, and it's going to have a quick 5 to 8 minute video that's just going to explain salvation, Jesus to you, what it means to be a Christian, and everlasting life. So I hope if you don't know what that is, you go ahead and you click the link and you find out.